Thanks for the request. I head up ZUG, which is short for Zukunft, Umwelt, Gesellschaft, Future Environment Society in English. We're a federally owned company set up by the Environment Ministry a couple of years ago in order to enable the federal government to disperse funding programs with a diverse range of beneficiaries, municipalities, civil society, research organizations more quickly and more efficiently. So we provide basically 3 different kinds of services. We have around about 20 funding programs, which we manage. So we receive funding regulations from the federal government, then we're responsible for advising potential beneficiaries, guiding them through the application and approval process, and then managing the grant in accordance with them to disbursement and the final tick boxes of everything has gone all right with this grant. We also set up and run competence centers for the government on different issues. So these are, for instance, on power to X liquids, on decarbonization of industry. So again, on areas where the government sees a niche they want to get into but don't have resources themselves, we go in and we also organize stakeholder processes. What led the government to establish ZUG was to have a flexible body that can ease implementation of funding programs, because in a ministry, at least in Germany, public service provisions are limited by the federal budget. So the way of contracting us, ZUG, as a not-for-profit public company is quicker. So essentially, we receive a contract for managing a funding program through in-house procurement. So there is no public tendering process, which already makes this quicker again. So from the government deciding to implement a funding program to us starting to get it out, it's around about 6 months. And it's more flexible because we bill based on our own cost plus overhead. We only charge as costs occur. So this also gives the government a level of flexibility. And we have now, after a couple of years, very concentrated, focused expertise on how to design funding programs, can advise the ministry on these matters, and have relatively deep expertise in the topics that we cover: climate, environment, and nature conservation.
And do you have some insights? Again, you've been here for a year, but the organization has been around for 7 years. So do you know some insights about the effectiveness of this model rather than the government doing it themselves or just assisting local governments? What are your insights?
So I think our position works well as an intermediary, so to say. We understand the government's and the ministry's needs. We can advise them on how to set up efficient funding regulations. The ministries themselves, of course, retain authority and control over the funding regulations. At the same time, we also have probably more time and capacity to advise potential beneficiaries on how to apply, what program they are eligible for. So we can, so to say, hold their hand more in the process. I think that is definitely an advantage over a setup where things are directly organized inside a ministry. We are, however, also bound by public financing rules. We have also have red tape in Germany, which makes applying funding programs and being a beneficiary still not completely easy. So we can't take that pain away completely.
Well, of course. Well, it's a good thing because we need scrutiny and transparency over public money. But would you say that the red tape is a bit less than if it would be directly from the government, or it's the same?
It cannot be less because we're bound by the same rules.
Okay.
However, wherever we can, we advise on which part is perhaps not necessary. And right now we have hope in Germany because we have a new government that has limitation of bureaucracy and making things easier as one of their headline goals. And we are also providing input to that and hope that the realities become even easier for us in our approval processes and for the beneficiaries in the application processes. It's very hard to do this in an aggregate way because we manage 30 different funding programs that also run in very different ways. So we have programs where essentially this is, for instance, for energy efficient lighting in municipalities. This is as long as an application is eligible, so checks the boxes. Municipalities receive the funding with this very high disbursement rates. We have, I think, thousands of applicants applying municipalities each year that benefit from this program, and we have highly competitive programs, for instance, on climate adaptation measures in social organizations, kindergartens, and care homes for elderly. And we only have limited financing, so only the best applicants receive money. So it's hard to make general statements on this, I'm afraid.
Okay.